Preparing for alt season. This video will go through the overall bias of what you need to do and why you should do it. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you are new, please do subscribe, hit the bell button, like and leave a comment. Obviously, yeah, hi, I'm back. The hat's back. Sorry about causing some distress. I just thought, why not? Just do it without the hat for a day. Anyways, we need to talk about some very, very important things that I have spoken about in previous videos in the past. Alt seasons, why they happen, how they happen. I've covered that in terms of the dominance chart, in terms of that all critique of buying altcoins when that dominance is really high with maybe USD or maybe Bitcoin if you've got some laying around, and then obviously profiting in Bitcoin because the BTC pairing chart will be going upwards, right? You know, you don't want to be buying when it's going down like this, you want to be buying when it's going up. So what we've got today, we need to talk about this briefly. Still looking quite good and rosy in my opinion. I think we are going to see a drop very, very soon. Let me just get that. What the on earth has happened here? Let me just make, there we go, hi. So we've had over the last few days a drop in the dominance chart, and we need to talk about why things have kind of rallied. Over the last 4 days, you've probably seen your altcoins go bang. Wait, what's happening? It's the start of what is potentially going to happen anyways in the future kind of element of high dominance. When it goes lower, altcoins are going to rally. So, as I've said, follow me on Twitter. I talk about this an awful lot. But this video is all about the checklist of what to consider when you are doing this. Now, the first thing that I need to talk about is people panicking because they understand that the dominance chart is kind of giving you an outlay that altcoins are going to be more dominant than Bitcoin as this is coming down. If this is coming down, that is the case. That means you're growing Satoshi values in your altcoins. It's mean they are outgrowing Bitcoin. You're making free Bitcoin. That is a game. That is what we're here to play. Now, even if today, for example, it's a 0.22% as it currently stands, people might be flapping going, oh my God, need to go back to Bitcoin. Don't. Just chill out. You got to look at the weekly time frame. We are starting to look at this. This is on the daily time frame. Just to give you a pointer. We're starting to see an EMA crossover. We seem to be below a level of previous level of structure. Now, you can put structure on these charts. It's sentiment based, but people do react to certain things like this. They do trade off it, so it does work. Now, be careful when you flap because you don't want to jump back into Bitcoin as this is starting to go back up again without realizing the fact that it's just starting a new trend. It is, in my opinion, going to be going down because I think it won't go much of sod's law, right? I don't think it will go much higher than this previous level of 73 unless Bitcoin goes really, really parabolic, but your USD values will grow in your BTC anyways in terms of your altcoin values, whatever. But let's do a little checklist. The first thing that you need to do, let's just move this aside. Now, historically, if this is a parabolic run, it would need to drop low and then carry on going low, but pretty aggressively. If this, for example, just to put a pointer out there, we go from 69% down to say 40% in a matter of about 4 weeks, we will get a repeat performance of what happened in 2017, where everything went nuts. But that could happen. Yesterday's video, I spoke about money flow, where BTC goes into the high cap coins. What have we seen recently? The likes of Cardano, Chainlink, Ethereum, pumping pretty nicely. But Bitcoin's still dominant. Bitcoin's still printing all-time highs every single day. But one thing we need to be making sure is what is happening with the total 2 chart. The total 2 chart is still growing. We went out of my box now. So we're still adding billions into the market. And one thing that's happened as well, we've went over the $1 trillion market cap, which is huge. Anyways, I'm waffling. Back to the dominance chart. This needs to go down. Total 2 needs to go up. We're realizing profits in Bitcoin. We're going to grow Bitcoin. That Bitcoin will become really important in terms of the next few levels of this, in terms of understanding where to keep growing and compounding, to understand that you can have a nice balance in your portfolio. But the first thing that you need to do, and one thing to remember, is research. Now, I know this is boring. I do apologize. Now, you're going to find, right, I'm going to make this very, very clear. Very, very clear. You will find people will make a shit ton of money and a shit ton of followers on Twitter, on social media, because they're calling coins that look and are pumping. Some coins will pump more than others. Some coins are shitter than others and will pump only in specific periods. Those are called shit coins, essentially. They get labelled as shit coins. Most coins are shit coins, let's be honest. But there's other coins with good, solid fundamentals that will always and continue to grow in the market. Whereas you will get some that will only grow little bits in periods of like years. Look at Dogecoin, for example, how that pump and dumps all the time, right? That's a good example. There's a lot of other coins like that will only pump because people know that they can put profits into it because it's got low liquidity, it's got gaps, it's got slippage, and it'll pump, it'll get people interested in it, it'll just carry on going. Pump and dump groups, right? So you'll get people that will accumulate the masses to go to that coin to profit off that. Be careful of those type of coins. You've got to look for solid coins. Ones you'd be happy to put your money in no matter what. Ones that you're happy with the developers, the researchers within that, in terms of what it's got, in terms of white paper, the advisors, the backers, all kinds of stuff. You need good solid coins to make this even, well, let's just be honest, easier, because you know the market's going to rise anyways. You know there's going to be interest in that coin, that asset, especially when profits are spilling out of Bitcoin and going into the altcoin market. So research is always number one. The second one you need to think of, your percentage ratios. Now this is probably a bit boring, but again, you don't want to go all in, realistically. You want to have a percentage of Bitcoin that you are willing to make it work for you, i.e. you're going to put a percentage of that Bitcoin when those BTC values are low, i.e. the likes of, you know, Ethereum. It looks amazing right now, but when you think about it undervalued nature, it's still low. Like, look at this, was, I mentioned it yesterday, this was like the start of, you know, this was in September. It's actually lower value in BTC. It's like not as dominant. That could pump really hard, and it's been a lot higher. Yeah, so you're going to make it work for you. You're going to put the BTC to work, and you're going to put it in an altcoin in the BTC pairs. Boom, go for it. You can do it with USD. Obviously, I've already mentioned this, but you can always profit in Bitcoin at the other side. Make sure you're looking at that other chart, though. Now, the next thing that's very important is obviously percentage of profits. Now, again, this is the same sort of situation where you're going backwards. When the dominance is low enough and you're starting to see a growth in your Bitcoin, and let's just say, for example, we go down to like 60 or even 63, you're going to notice that your Satoshi values in your portfolio have grown. You may have lost some USD because Bitcoin may not have grown as much, but you've got your BTC there. Then you repeat the process. You literally are repeating it all the time. You're just doing that whole motion. That's how you win. It's accumulation. It doesn't matter what happens with Bitcoin price. This chart tells you. This chart tells you in terms of how things have happened. Look at this, for example, right? The bear market, right? This was when BTC was like low. Actually, no, this was when BTC dropped down to like 3K for the first time. You know, like whole BTC, boom, it died, right? You know, but ultimately your altcoins actually in that period actually started growing for a bit. Again, whole BTC, and then hold into the altcoins in when these periods are going on. This is a weekly time frame. It doesn't have to be reactive. This is weekly time frame stuff. Use an EMA, use all kinds of bits and pieces of trend analysis to understand how this works, and you will gradually grow Bitcoin. Now, I know it doesn't look like much, but even these like little drops here, like, it doesn't look like much. Obviously, this is like a big cataclysmic move, but that is still like a decent chunk. That's still a 12% drop in dominance, and you'll notice that in your portfolio things have moved, and that is very, very important to understand. But the biggest fundamental element to all this, it's all about what you do. Researching is key. It's simple. The percentage that you put in to work to grow some extra Bitcoin is key. But the other side of it, if you've got a bag of Bitcoin that you've made from altcoins and you're still holding a part of that altcoin as well, just scale it out. It's simple. You don't have to take all profits, just take some. If you're in a situation, what I tend to do is I tend to put more into altcoins when it's high dominance, and then the same amount I take out. But obviously, because I've taken the same amount out, I've got more money than what I started with, usually all the time. Over the last 4 days, with this drop alone, my Satoshi values have gone up a lot more, and that's great. I've not moved it out yet. I'm still in those altcoins. I'm still happy. But that is how you win the market, and this is why people get very, very excited. I want to make it very, very clear. It'll only be for a period of months that this will happen, and it'll be like, oh, hold Bitcoin for a while, chill out for a bit, grow the USD value equivalent of that, and then you can, from the other side of it, take some profits out of that as well, put it into stable currency, and just chill out for a bit. Enjoy what the market gives you. Be grateful. But I will be honest with you. There will be experts that will appear look, oh, look at these coins, look at these. But realistically, the people that are winning, the people that are watching this video in terms of understanding how these periods of time work, you will always find an expert who's found something that will brag about it, that's done really, really well about it, but then they'll disappear. When the dynamic changes, they'll disappear because they've either lost all their gains, or they've not sold at the top, or they're not sold at a correct place, and they've ended up losing a ton of money anyways because they kept buying into it at the wrong levels, dollar cost averaging up, which is not good. So I hope that video has kind of helped. Again, you don't have to do this with Bitcoin, you can do this with Ethereum. Same situation happens. Lower the Ethereum dominance, the more Ethereum you can get if you cash out of it, obviously. Again, the most important thing is to look at is the total 2 chart as well, because ultimately alt seasons are basically this. When this is carrying going up, dominance goes down. It's because it's beating the living shit out of Bitcoin and it's making you more money. It's outgrowing it. And this is what we want. We want to see, in my opinion, this 69% level drop down to like 50, sub 50. And then from sub 50, if it goes back up to 60, maybe even higher, it's going to create a lot more money, especially if you've taken profits out of those altcoins and literally sitting in Bitcoin just to chill out. Yeah, that's the way the money is.